Please welcome first-time superhero Scott Roller. Today, he will be showcasing premiering content in his session, Dynamics 365 and Power Platform, 2023 Release Wave 1 Overview. Please stick around after Scott's session for a live Q&A.
Hello everybody, this is DynamicsCon Virtual and this is a customer engagement session. I am Scott Roller. I am a functional architect with New Dynamic LLC in Kansas City, Missouri. And today's topic, we're going to be talking about Dynamics 365 and the Power Platform. And specifically, we're going to talk about 2023 Release Wave 1 overview. All right, so I just wanted to go through some brief disclaimers because I'm going to be covering a lot of topics today, but also there's a lot of topics to cover that I could have hit on. So I'll be taking a functional point of view with my topics today. So there could be some more technical things that I'm skipping over, but I'm going to take that functional point of view. These are my favorite features in Dynamics 365 and the Power Platform. So as in with any presenter's presentation, this is kind of what I wanted to hit on. There are several hundred different new features that I could have covered, but with the time we have available, I'm just going to cover my highlights. And so I'm sorry if I skip over anything that you were looking for as a feature or you're excited about or interested in. But with that said, I would encourage you to go out to experience.dynamics.com/release plans and check out all the content there. That's where I got the majority of what I learned to present today. And this would also be where you could get all that other information, either additional information on what I'm talking about or other information about the other release plans. Okay, so let's dive right into it. We're going to warp on over to Dynamics 365 Sales and talk about the sales area. So in sales, I'm going to start with talking about the enhanced opportunity form. So they've gone in and Microsoft has gone in and enhanced the opportunity form so that it's more easily used by the end user. And some of the things that they've done there is that they've made the central column wider. And this is going to be the main area of the opportunity form. This is going to be where most of the important stuff goes. And then they're pushing, more of the periphery or the secondary information to the left and the right. They're also cleaning up the command bar where the buttons are at the top so that there's less searching for buttons. I don't know if anybody remembers in the past, but there's a lot of instances where you needed to go to the vertical ellipses and look for a button that maybe wasn't in that command bar. And now they're going to clean up that experience and hopefully have all the buttons that are needed visible at all times. There may still be that need to go and find a button, but the intent is to make them all visible. Then in the business process flow along the top, they put chevrons next to the different stages. And the intent there is so that it's obvious that those are dropped down so you can see what's in each stage. And I guess in the past, and it kind of makes sense, it wasn't real obvious to all users that those are drop downs. They've also made an effort to make clear section headers. So all the sections on the form now should have more descriptive section headers, and it's real obvious what's in that section. And then also they're going to change the headers and the field labels to be in sentence case. So in the past, some of those fields and section headers were in all uppercase, and so now it's all going to be sentence case. So let's move on along, and we'll talk about Sales Focus Mode. Sales Focus Mode is a new mode that they're going to introduce in the release plan that allows salespeople to focus on the tasks that they really need to be addressing at that time. Some of the key features here are the ability to have a view and a form in the same window together. So we can have this view where we can select records. And when you select a record, then it's going to activate and populate the data, the form data for that record in the right-hand side. And I think this is going to be kind of a game changer. This kind of makes Dynamics work and act like Outlook. Whereas, in Outlook, you can select an email, and then the email body or the detail will show up to the right. This will be the same type of experience where we're selecting records from a view, and then we're getting the detail over to the right. We can also customize the view filter so that we can have views like today's calls or maybe this week's opportunities, and work off of that. Next up is engage customers with SMS Text. So we may have customers that aren't in the front of their computer all the time. These are people that are either out in the field, or they're maybe less technical people that have their phone available, and we want to get a hold of them so we can sell to them. But so we want to send them an SMS text for whatever reason. And so we can do that within Dynamics now. We're going to be able to. We're going to be able to send SMS text from really any sales entity, and we're going to be able to send and receive. This is going to for work outside of email and Teams messages. We can send and track those conversations directly to their phone and from Dynamics. And once again, that history, that conversation history, will happen inside of Dynamics. The visual of that is over here to the right. And so you'll have that history to go back to and see that conversation. And then you'll also get real-time notifications back in Dynamics when somebody responds to a text. And it'll ding you and let you know that that's there so you can respond, or how they responded to you. Moving on here, this is a big part of what I'm going to key in on today, which is all of the new AI capabilities. This is a big part of Microsoft's investment in ChatGPT. So I'm going to key in on this and some of the other tools that are out there focusing on AI. So we have AI-powered suggestions where we can target accounts and next steps through our intelligent sales suggestions. The goal here is to improve sales effectiveness. So the AI is analyzing our past behaviors and giving suggestions to how we want to interact in a sales capacity with our either customers or leads or prospects or our sales opportunities, things like that. So this is very effective with team selling, I find as well, or that's where it kind of hit me, is that it would be effective with team selling to keep everybody on the same page and kind of make the same suggestions to everybody. And it eliminates one person doing his own thing and another person doing their own thing. We're all kind of working off the same plan now with the intelligent sales suggestions. Another piece of AI is the automate follow-up tasks. So this really will make a salesperson more efficient, and they can just go through their day of having emails and Teams meetings and phone calls, and then allow the system to analyze all that peripheral information that's put in, and then automate follow-up tasks. The system will create its own tasks to remind you of things that need to happen. Like if something happens in an email, it'll follow up a task that says, hey, you need to respond based on what you put on an email or a Teams message. So as I kind of indicated before, this helps salespeople move quickly. They don't have to be burdened with creating all these follow-up tasks for themselves. They can just move from one email to the next or one Teams message to the next, and the system is going to create those follow-up tasks for them. It's also important in avoiding important tasks from falling through the cracks. So everything is, documented by the system, and you're going to be reminded. You're going to get reminders of those tasks. As I said, AI, a big part of this. I'm going to continue on with AI. This is, we want to guide sellers with the next best step. So a big thing that's going to be introduced with the next release wave is this up next a widget, which gives the focused task of what, according to the AI, what it thinks should be the next task that is accomplished. This is hand in hand with capturing the follow-up of the task, the last topic that we were on of creating the task. Now those created tasks will show up in what's in the up next, and then up next will suggest that next best step, be it a task or an email or even maybe a product suggestion. That's part of it as well. It could, if you have a large product catalog, it would maybe suggest, hey, based on the conversations and everything else that we've analyzed, this is a good product maybe to suggest in the sales process. Another piece of AI here is real-time sales tips and suggestions. So this is really focusing on remote selling. And their hope in introducing this, and it sounds like an awesome piece of technology, is the ability to make remote selling just as powerful as face-to-face, if not more powerful. So in real time, the AI will make suggestions about product and service details. And while somebody is on the phone and typing in information and it's gathering information based on the phone conversation, it will suggest and display competitive battle cards with branding information and pricing, and it'll learn from past calls and even from other salespeople. So it'll learn from your calls, but also it'll learn from the sales team, so that the sales team can have a collaborative approach. And once again, everybody's kind of on the same page. We're not just going into sales individually, but we're gathering information as a team, and the AI is giving us back sales tips based on that team information. Another piece of AI is the intent detection for lead qualification. So as humans, it's hard for us to keep track of all the little details that it goes into qualifying a lead. We also, if you have hundreds or thousands of leads, there's no way to keep track of the detail for, or to remember all the details for a lead. So the AI does that for us. It helps with analyzing all the lead inputs and giving us back intent detection for lead qualification. And in that analysis, it'll analyze emails and Teams calls and texts and just regular phone calls. And it'll give suggestions for, the intent of this lead, whether should we qualify them and move forward? Is there a sales opportunity here? Or maybe we should disqualify this lead, and that the intent really isn't there. And based on the past history of gathering information, this lead isn't a good lead for us. But it's all that proactive customer engagement information that leads into the details. Last piece of AI here for the sales module is customer call insights. So this is really a AI-powered sales call coach. This will analyze the calls and make suggestions on what should happen in the future. And as I've said before, this is both based on both individual sellers and also the team. So this will analyze the team calls and say, hey, over the vast experience or load of data that we've gotten from all the calls, these are the best questions to ask. This is the best timing to ask the questions. And like I said when I started out, this is really a sales call coach. So this is focusing on the questions and the next best step, when to move forward in a sale as well. All right, so that's the end of our journey through Dynamics 365 sales. And now we're going to warp on over to Dynamics 365 marketing and go through the marketing module. All right, first topic for marketing is create intuitive modern forms. We are, when talking about this is a really good low-code, no-code way of creating a lead capture form. If anybody's done this in the past, it usually took a little bit more technical knowledge and maybe even a little bit of HTML creation to make this happen. And now they have a really nice drag and drop editor that guides the form creation process. So we can have those citizen developers out there creating our lead capture forms, and we can publish that form directly for use from Dynamics, either to an external website to capture leads or as a standalone page. And so we could capture the leads directly from that standalone page, which then obviously would feed those leads back in to Dynamics, and we'd have those brand new leads in Dynamics. This is a fully branded form, and it does start that lead conversation. So this is really the beginning of our sales process of gathering leads and then moving on from a marketing standpoint into sales. All right, next topic for marketing is optimizing business-to-business marketing with the out-of-the-box dashboards. They have these brand new dashboards that they're going to be introducing, and they look great to me. These are excellent Microsoft created dashboards that are really the integration between marketing and sales. So, where we start in marketing and we hope to gather people that are interested, and then we move on to sales. This dashboard kind of has it all in there of where did the leads come from, how are they progressing, maybe some trends that we're seeing with gathering leads along the way, some of the lead sources, the top journeys that we've used to gather these leads, and the channels that have been involved. So this is really the whole thing of gathering the leads in the beginning, how we've qualified them, and then moving on into the opportunity pipeline. This displays the history and the trends available. And then, yeah, that's about it. Just kind of working into the opportunity pipeline there. All right, so now we're back into AI, and I know we focused on this quite a bit in sales, and now we're back into it for marketing. So in the marketing module, we're talking about email content suggestions. So the AI can gather information from past email that's either come in or we've sent out and get content suggestions. And this is all built on that ChatGPT or GPT-3 model. Once again, leveraging that investment that Microsoft made into OpenAI. The AI will make suggestions of the content that we want to send out in the email, and also current marketing campaign information. So if we're running a current marketing campaign, it'll make suggestions based on that as well. And I think one of the coolest things that it does here is that for English text, it'll attempt to make it look and sound like the same person that's been sending the emails before. So it's much the same way if you played around with ChatGPT, where you can enter, write me an email that sounds like William Shakespeare. It will record and keep track of the language and the terminologies and things that somebody uses when they're writing email, and attempt to make their email suggestions in that same language. So you may need to make slight revisions, and you probably want to review and edit the suggested text, but it may write an email that sounds exactly the same way that you want to write it. And I think that's really cool. All right, moving on from there, we have the prevent message fatigue area. And so this is really to keep customers from wanting to say we don't want to get any more emails, or to what's the right term, to opt out. That's the term I'm trying to look for, to opt out of messaging. So it's possible for customers to be put on too many journeys, and the journeys are auto creating and sending out these emails and messages and different things. Maybe it's even a text message and not an email, but it's sending out too many messages. And so we can put a cap on that, and we can tell it to on a weekly or a daily or a monthly basis, keep track of how many messages we've sent to somebody. And when it reaches a cap, now we're going to not send them any more messages, and we don't want to overextend our welcome or to send too many messages. So we can enable or disable the cap for any journey that we want to. All right, so that was it for our journey through marketing. And so now we're going to warp on over to Dynamics 365 customer service. So in customer service, once again, surprise, surprise, we're talking about AI. And this is for suggested replies in chat. So much like email content suggestions, this is where the AI system is going to analyze what's been talked about and suggest in the past, in chat conversations, and then suggest responses to certain chat topics. So in the window here, we can see that a customer is interacting with us, and the system is suggesting 3 different options on how to reply if we want to. So this will analyze all of the chat responses that we've done as an individual, but also, once again, as a sales team. So, we're going to try to make our sales team respond in the same way, or not our sales team in this case, our customer service team respond in the same way. Well, it's going to analyze all those responses, figure out which ones were the most popular and that were the most used or got the best response, and suggest those. We also have the ability as admins to come in and eliminate some responses if we think they're not valid, or even edit and consolidate the responses. So if we think that 2 or 3 or more are kind of answering the same question, we can just consolidate it down to 1 and to keep our list of suggestions down. One of the other things that's really cool here is that this does integrate, maybe pretty obvious, but it integrates with the Dynamics 365 data. So in the responses, it could provide, personal names or company names as a part of that response. So that's all integrated. And then the history is then recorded in Dynamics, and you have that recorded conversation history. All right. So as we saw in sales, we had an enhanced opportunity form. Well, now we have an enhanced case form. So the case form has been streamlined for focused activity, kind of the same way we looked at in sales, where we wanted to focus on just what we needed for sales. Well, we want our customer service agents just focused on what they need to solve a case. So all the case related details is in one window. We have the description and the notes highlighted here in the center. So the center section, once again, is where our most important information is. We can put in the description and the notes down below. And then we have a dedicated section, which is new for attachments. And we can, so we can create attachments directly or attach things directly in the case. Then they're not going to be in a separate note that you have to go find, or a separate tab for documents that you have to go find. And you can directly attach them into the case. All right. So moving forward, for customer service, we also have enhanced workplace layout. So this is where we really encourage multitasking efficiency for our customer service agents. Our customer service agents are typically going to be working, several cases at a time and bouncing from one to the other as people call in or they need to make calls. So we want to make their experience as efficient as possible, and we want to encourage multitasking. So in this enhanced workplace layout, we can handle multiple case sessions and case context at the same time. And at the top here, you can see that we have different tabs that are available, which is kind of new. So we can have different tabs that are open that we can bounce back and forth to. And those tabs can be for different sessions and different child cases. And the tab bar will only show those tabs if there's tabs available. So if there's no tabs that need to be visible, that bar will go away. There's also better predictability of session closure in these enhancements. So in complex customer service situations where you may have a case and multiple child cases and there's a lot of complexity going on, we have better predictability of when a session should close. And that's important in a customer service environment. Okay. And then we also are introducing agent forecast or forecast agent demand. So we can forecast when we need agents, when a high traffic period might occur. It can be hard to predict agent demand for staffing and for bringing in, we may have a large staff, but we don't need them all the time. And they only come in on certain days. Well, in certain key holiday periods or certain key other periods of the year that we've identified, we can bring in and staff up for those periods. It also goes into the overall goal of fulfilling our SLA. So if we want to make sure that we're fulfilling that SLA and not getting behind, we need to make sure, depending on that historical data that we've gathered, that we are proactively staffing for those periods. And we can visually slice and forecast the data by week, day, and month to really get down to that granular level. Next topic that I wanted to hit on is the real-time support monitoring. So as we saw in sales, where we had that really nice out-of-the-box dashboarding that showed us things about sales and marketing, now we have sort of that same concept for customer service. We have a really nice pre-built dashboard that we can change if we want to. There's personalization involved, where we can change it around and make it more customized for our company or our individual use. But these are real-time numbers as well. So this is showing real-time calls that are being logged, real-time emails that are coming in, real-time chats and text messages that are being sent out. That's a real important part of this, is the real-time aspect. So we want to get real numbers on call volume and response times. We can even drill down and get detailed information about each agent if we want to. We can make it be a team view if we want, or we can drill down and say, what is this one person doing at this time? And it can be a coaching tool. We can find out, okay, well, maybe this person is not addressing phone calls or something along the ways very well. We can use it as a coaching tool. And we can bookmark multiple reports for quick access. So we can bookmark these reports and get back to them very quickly, be it a team view or maybe even an individual view. All right, moving forward here a little bit more. Now we're going to get out of Dynamics completely, and we're going to talk about the Power Platform, and we're going to dive into Power Apps and the Power Platform. So within Power Apps, we want to talk about adding columns to forms and views automatically. So I know this from personal experience of being a consultant out in the world of creating different columns or fields, however you want to refer to them, and then adding them to forms and views in Dynamics. That can be a little bit frustrating, and also can be error prone. You could create a bunch of fields and then forget where you wanted to put them later on when you're just looking at a big grouping of fields. So this allows us to create those fields or columns and then add them directly to forms and views from within the Maker experience. This can, later on, you can go back in and maybe do some further organization of the columns and the fields on the forms or in the views. But this is a great way just to throw them out there and get them on the form and view, and then deal with them later without having that delay between creating the field and then adding it to the form. And then kind of as an aside, and this isn't really a part of the release wave, but there is a really cool XRM toolbox tool out there called View Replicator that allows you to create a view the way that you want. And then if you want a bunch of other views with different names to have the same layout, you can use that View Replicator to replicate the same layout to all the rest of the views. All right, so let's move forward here. Let's talk about the virtual table wizard in the Portal Maker. So anybody that was experienced with adding virtual tables into Dynamics in the past, it wasn't as straightforward. It kind of took a little bit of technical knowledge, and but this is much better. They have created a wizard experience, or a step-by-step guided experience in the Power Apps that will, once again, take you step by step through connection to an external data source, be it SQL or SharePoint. And this is really driving home that low code, no code philosophy, and allowing those citizen developers to create virtual tables on their own if they want to, and connect those virtual tables in Dynamics. And then the real powerful thing is that we can have relationships even between the virtual table data and our Dataverse or Dynamics data, and create those, create those relationships that like you normally would see within Dataverse. Okay, so here are just some general app maker enhancements that I thought were important. I don't have any great visuals for this, but I thought the co-authoring was pretty awesome. This is a huge for teams collaboration and for makers that are trying to work on the same app together. Previously, you pretty much had to get out of an app and let somebody else work on it if you wanted to have multiple people. Now you can have co-authoring. We can have people working on the same app together, and they can also see updates to those apps in real time, so that you see, oh, this other guy made this update, and this is what it looks like now, and now I need to do, my work, or I need to respond based on that. The second item here, the second bullet on this slide, is about the Express Design, which is a Figma UI kit preview. And I saw this previewed at the DynamicsCon Live in San Antonio last year, and this was pretty awesome, to be honest. This is where you can write out either on a paper form or on a whiteboard, even on a napkin or something, just kind of a general idea of what you want a Power App to be. You can take a picture of it, and then we're going back once again to AI, but the AI can read that visual and really start to lay out a basic Power App for you with all of the placement of the fields. And you may need to go in, or you probably need to go in and make some changes later on to how that's laid out and really clean it up. But it's a great way, especially a low code citizen developer way, to get started with creating a Power App just from a paper, kind of drawn out plan of what you want. Okay, so now we're moving on to Modern Advanced Find. And I know this has been available before, but I wanted to key in on it because I think it's an important thing. Some people who have updates and new versions of Dynamics or Power Platform, Power Apps would have already experienced this. But this is where you don't have to open up the old school Advanced Find window and do your searching there. Right from a view, you can start changing filters and updating filters. And we can also change columns, change column order, and the columns that are actually there to be displayed. We can change that. And once we get done with all of that, we can save it as a personal view that we can share out to other people if we want to, or we can just save it for ourselves, and we can use it over and over again. And that personal view will see and use the filters and the column layout. One of the other things I love about this is a little bit different than what I've been talking about already, but is the ability to filter each column and sort each column at the top of the column. You can put in search criteria in that one column, and it'll search the whole view based on that search criteria. Or you can sort each column from the column level. So, I think that's pretty awesome. Okay, so model-driven apps are going to get a new look and feel. And this is something that everybody's going to get. This is not an opt-in or an opt-out type of thing. If you have Dynamics 365 and you're up to date, then you're going to get these the new model-driven app look and feel. And what we're getting here is really it's just a facelift for the model-driven apps. They are including new controls, new layout, new fonts, colors, and more. It's really it's going to follow the new Microsoft Fluent Design system. So Microsoft is making an effort, and this isn't the first time, I've seen this in the past, but they're making an effort to have everything follow the same design. So if you go into Outlook or Dynamics or a Power App or anywhere, that you kind of have the same layout, and you have the same controls, and you have the same everything, the same look and feel. So that's what they're attempting to do here. So it doesn't feel different when you go from one product to the other. You have the same feel from one to the other. And some of the keys here as well are they want to design this for product, have a great product experience. So the end users love using the product, and it's a great product experience. They also want to design it for accessibility, for people that maybe have accessibility issues. Well, this is good for them. And they didn't want to design something that needed to have a different form for other parts of the world. So it was designed for internationalization. And then lastly, which is really important, they wanted to design it for performance so that it performs really well. Okay, so the last thing here for Power Apps is the Power Apps Studio. So we have, or Dataverse in the Power Apps Studio. In the past, it was kind of hard to get into the Dataverse data. You kind of had to be more techie oriented, but now they are opening that up to the Power Apps Studio, and you can get into the Dataverse. You can view and access and even update or edit the Dataverse from within the Power Apps Studio. Another key thing there, and keeping with the low code citizen developer vibe, is the ability to support PowerFX calculated columns. So instead of creating columns in a different way or needing to know a bunch of programming language, we can just use the simple PowerFX to create complex and meaningful calculated columns. So we can do that in a more citizen developer available way. And it's just very powerful that you can get to the data in this way now. It's giving citizen developers, more power and access in general. All right, last section here is we're going to warp on over to the Power Platform, Power Automate. And this is going to be a little more brief, but let's talk about Power Automate now. So in our flow Maker enhancements, in the past, we could only access and cancel 20 flows at a time. And I've had a personal experience with this, where in enterprise scenarios, you need to do that more often. I had a situation where there was a flow and there was a record somehow got caught in a loop where it was updating BC, and then BC was sending it back to Dynamics, and the Dynamics was sending it back to BC, and that was all being done in flow. And we had several thousand instances of this loop going, and instead of we couldn't cancel them one at a time or 20 at a time. So our solution was to copy the flow, delete that original flow, and then activate the copied flow. And then that got rid of all of our thousands of scenarios there. But with this new enhancement, now we can, we don't have to go through that copy and delete scenario. We can delete all of those instances of the flow and then clean up our processing. We also have a new opportunity for an expression editor. We can now build multi-line expressions and add dynamic values without having to switch tabs. So in the past, if we wanted to build an expression, we had to get in and build the expression, and then we had to come back out, and maybe we wanted to add another trigger or another step to our flow. And then in that step, maybe we wanted to add some more expressions, and it was back and forth, back and forth. Now we can all do that in one window, and it's just way more efficient for the Maker experience. So in our Flow Maker enhancements, once again, a little bit more, is we have natural language. And this, once again, is right back into our ChatGPT, where ChatGPT is everywhere. We can, end users or citizen developers even, can use the natural language to search for actions and triggers in a natural language way. They don't need to know what they're really looking for. They just need to say, hey, I'm looking for this and I want to do this. And the ChatGPT will find and suggest, hey, you may want to use this then, this action or this trigger to accomplish what you want. You can also use this to create a whole flow. So you can get in there and use natural language to describe what you want the flow to do, and the ChatGPT will define, okay, if you want to do this and you want to do that and all these steps, it'll kind of build out that flow for you, and then you can either accept it or you can make your little tweaks along the way that you need to do. So once again, great for citizen developers. This is all really great high-level citizen developer stuff. And then we can generate expressions from examples. So we can show Power Automate an example of data we want to format or something along those lines, and it will show the based on the inputs into Power Automate, it will suggest an expression that you need. So these are all natural language, putting in natural language or AI suggested results that we're getting in Power Automate. Okay, so we're almost to the end here, and I think we're pretty good on time. I'm going to move on to some honorable mentions that I'll mention fairly quickly. These are some things that I didn't really have time to hit on in any greater detail, but these are things that did spark my interest, and I wanted to lay out there as important things to mention. In the sales area, the topic of sequences. There's a lot of updates to sequences, and I didn't have time to put that in the main presentation, but you can personalize sequences now. You can also have sequences that are for multiple people. So you can have multiple instances of sequences, one for each salesperson. So you're not all following the same sequence. We could have sequence templates, and we can also have sequence insights. So the AI is giving us insights into our sequences. We can, in customer service, there's going to be the ability to keep a queue, and you can have a queue for callback. So you call in, you send in a message or you call in and they can't get to you right away. Well, there's a callback queue now that's going to be enabled. We can have natural language segment building in marketing. So in marketing, you can natural language type out how you want to segment out your customers, and it'll build your segment for you. We can send segment-based emails as well. So in the past, you had to build out a whole a journey to send out an email. Now you can just build a segment and send emails directly from that segment. And then one of the things I definitely didn't hit on was field service. And two field service items that I really wanted to get to but couldn't find the time was the organized services by trade. So now we can organize our services and field service by the trades that they represent. And we can also switch tenants on the mobile app for field service. And in the past, you could only have one tenant at a time on your mobile device for your mobile app. And you had to basically get rid of, delete your mobile app and then re-authenticate to a new tenant. Now you can have multiple tenants on that mobile app, which is really nice. And you can switch from tenant to tenant. Okay, so here's our summary of things that we covered in our session today. We had AI for sales, marketing, and customer service. We had natural language search for sales, customer service, and marketing as well. We had a lot of modern form enhancements. We had new dashboards and improved dashboards for marketing and customer service that gave us really great insight into those areas. We had Maker enhancements for Power Apps, and we had Maker enhancements for Power Automate. And since we're at the end, I also wanted to encourage people once again to go back to experience.dynamics.com/release plans. And I have one more slide left, but after this slide, then we're going to open it up for our live question and answer. And in the chat, I'll be mainly responding to your questions that have come in through chat during my presentation. So that's really it for my overview of the 2023 Release Wave 1. I hope you enjoyed it. Please visit the site of experience.dynamics.com release plans, and I'll see you next time. Thanks a lot.